Thank you, Sri Ganga Kumarji, that he tapped on my head because I have no baggages. This means I have no baggages with me. So thank you. And till morning, I'm here. First, there are the two panelists. After the three panelists, and now I'm duty to handle the four eminent panelists. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And for a few minutes, here I'm not a professor to profess my ideas, but the topic is too pertinent to the whole scenario. Roots, sometimes routes to roots, journey, migration, and coming to the destination, homeland and the host land. These are the two concepts. This is a very important and the pertinent. Before this, why this cultural festival is important? Because of each and every country, they are having cultural festival, be it Germany, be it Indonesia, be it Pakistan, be it South Africa, every country, even the lowest GDP having their own cultural festival. So that's why these festivals are important to disseminate your idea to the world. Look, we are arrived. So culture is a strong tool to go beyond the idea. It's not a military power, it's not the economy power, but beyond the military and economy, the culture is the most important, persistent idea throughout the civilization. That's why every year and every institution wanted to have a cultural festival. And we celebrate whether the Keat, whether the Homer, whether the Kalidas, Surdas, and Ramakrishna Paramhans, we have celebrated each and every ideas in this world. So, because these four panelists they are a very profound idea with the diaspora and with the migration. One Bharatvanshi from South Africa, one from Mauritius, and two eminent personalities. They are coming different parts of India to the Delhi. I think Professor Ajay Dubey spent 40 years in Delhi, and Madam also spent so many years in Delhi. So the diaspora is a very pertinent question. Everybody is diasporic people. My birthplace is different. My father's duty is different. And now last 30 years, I'm in Delhi. So everybody having that kind of persistence. So eminent personalities, eminent panelists, my first question, start with my left first, and for everyone, what's your experience as a diasporic, as a migration, or as a human being? You are in South Africa, you are in Mauritius, you are in UP, now in Bihar, you are in Bihar and now in Delhi, and you are also in Bihar and UP and now you are Delhi. So what's your emotions, your journey throughout the whole the ages, like 1850, you reiterated so many times, and this is my third interaction in 5 days to His Excellency, and I'm not calling His Excellency, he is for me Professor Anil Suklal, because a professor, it's a connect. So sir, how you connect yourself to India and the South Africa? So this is the first question for all the panelists. What is the diaspora journey?
Thank you, Dr. Kamwar. Always a pleasure being in your presence. But let me also acknowledge who I refer to as the stalwarts of the Indian diaspora, my brother and good friend, Professor Jayji, Sarita ji, and of course, Dr. Sumanji, for what you have done in raising and shining the torch on the Indian diaspora at a time when no one even paid attention to it. Now also let me, when we speak of the issue of the diaspora and the issue of identity that we are referring to, I think it's very appropriate we are discussing it on this day when we celebrate Rabindranath Tagore's birth anniversary. Because Rabindranath Tagore was not only a shining symbol of India and India's freedom struggle, but he took India global when he became the first Nobel laureate. And it showed you the depth of the civilizational nature of Indian culture. And I think it's very important we remember these towering figures and the contribution they have made, not just to India, but to human civilization. Very often we tend to overlook these very important days and celebrate our own heroes and our own figures that have shaped our history and human history. Coming to the question of South Africa, India, of course, being born and raised in South Africa under very unique circumstances, where I was born and raised under an apartheid regime, which legalized and institutionalized racism. So I was part of what was regarded as the black community in South Africa. And my worldview was shaped out of that perspective. It was shaped in a period of struggle, part of the liberation struggle, part of enduring the inhumane treatment by that regime. And India was a distant idea to all of us. We were isolated from India because India in 1946 was the first country to impose economic sanctions against the apartheid regime in South Africa. And this was followed by comprehensive sanctions, which included political, economic, and importantly, cultural sanctions and sporting sanctions against the regime. So while the rest of the world would have normalized relations, I'm talking about diaspora countries like Mauritius, Fiji, Trinidad, Suriname, when they became independent states, they immediately normalized relationship and had very strong relations with India. But of course, we were isolated. One of the unforeseen, I would say, circumstances that we found ourselves in was that sanctions on South Africa had a detrimental effect on the Indian community. But of course, it was the right thing for the Indian government to do, despite the impact it had in terms of the question of Indians in South Africa. And you must understand the majority of Indians that left between the period 1860 to 1911, 95% were of Hindu faith. And the whole question of identity in South Africa was, how do you disenfranchise the Indians? Firstly, they had no legal standing in South Africa.
Yes, sir.
Secondly, how do you Christianize and Westernize the Indian community? So there was a concerted onslaught to firstly make you feel that you belong to an inferior civilization, an inferior culture, and secondly, to get you to convert to what they regarded was the superior culture. And in conversion, you were better placed economically in terms of finding jobs and in terms of your place in society. So this whole thing posed a major identity crisis, if I could use that term, on the Indian community. And many of us, of course, succumbed to the pressure that was imposed on us to give up our cultural identity, our religion, our culture, our language, our arts, and so forth. And everything was done to ensure that this system that the early indentured laborers that came to South Africa immediately started building. Number of temples were destroyed because when they started building temples, within 5 years of arrival in South Africa, the first temple was built. Cultural centers were built. Language centers were built. And all of these were destroyed. So you had an identity complex in terms of who you are in this very divided South African society.
Sir, I'm coming to you because I know you are a prolific orator and you can take 1 hour.
Yeah, let me leave it there.
So that's why sorry to interrupt you.
So I think just to recap, there was an identity crisis in South Africa vis-a-vis Indian South Africans.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Raghuva Kaisan Bani, how are you? Yes. So it's a country where people are having Mauritius and India, mini India. So what's your journey? Because in the private we are conversation that most of the family members are in very good position in the different parts of the world. So what you are feeling as a diasporic person coming to India, going to again Mauritius? So it's your journey. People want to know about your journey because the Lit Festival, it's your journey. It's not others' journey. So can you give us a sense about your journey, how a person, diasporic person or the identity? So over to you, ma'am.
सबसे पहले रवा के हम बहुत धन्यवाद देवतनी। मनीष जी, हमके ना बुझाला कि हम कहाँ के निवासी हैं, भारत के हैं कि मॉरिशस के। हम मॉरिशस वापस जाएला तो हमारे लोग बोलेला तू हौजे एगो घर लेके हौजे रहा भारत में, कहे खाली एक साल में 6 बार हम इंडिया चलाइला। And let me tell you, first of all, I should like to congratulate and felicitate Sri Ganga Kumar and his very beautiful, charming, glamorous wife, Alia ji, whom I met for the first time at Rajgir, at the Nalanda Literature Festival. And there, when I saw the work that they are doing with the young people especially, to bring the ancient, rich Indian civilizational ethos right from Nalanda to the world, to the India first, and then to the world, I was really very, very impacted. And I proposed there at the valedictory session that we should come to Mauritius. Mauritius, I baja.
Are you coming to Mauritius?
Mauritius में हम लोग नालंदा फेस्टिवल मनाएंगे. We are bringing it. So I was, first of all, I came to know about Nalanda at the family bookshop set up in Mauritius by my uncle, of which I am the managing director now. Its name is Nalanda. So I grew up in the Nalanda bookshop and learned about Indian civilization and other cultural heritage ethos from the Nalanda bookshop. Then, when I came to study, I was an ICCR cultural scholar holder. I studied geography at the Calcutta University. And there, after that, I came back. That was a very long time ago, so many decades ago, 6 decades ago. And I came back in 1983 because in Mauritius, Mauritius is not a home, there is no hereditary there. We do not have your problem that you have in South Africa. Still, we are a multilingual, multicultural, multi-religious, multi-ethnic society. And you have the Europeans, you have the Chinese, you have African, people of African origin, you have people of Indian origin like us. And therefore, we are all migrants in Mauritius. हम लोग सब अप्रवासी हैं मॉरिशस में, and we are known as the Girmitia because there are so many types of migration taking place. But we who went to Mauritius was the first post of the Indian indentured labor migration. And since that was on 15 September, they started from Kidapur place, which is now part of Shama Prasad Mukherjee Ports Authority. From there, the ship waited Atlas in the Hooghly River, the Ganga River, and from there, they went, first 35 went to Mauritius.
Thank you, ma'am.
To tell my feeling,
yes.
just to close it. So the feeling is that we are Girmitias, but still we say that our Punya Bhumi is India, our Janma Bhumi is Mauritius.
Thank you, ma'am, for a wonderful start. So, moving towards Dr. Suman Kesri, ma'am. Birthplace is Muzaffarpur, a land of lychees, and the Jan Institute in Muzaffarpur. So, what's your journey, ma'am, as a diasporic? Because you wrote extensively, आपने बहुत लिखा है. So, what's your journey? Because हर एक जर्नी छोटी मोटी डायस्पोरिक जर्नी होती है, माइग्रेशन होता है. So, can you tell your journey towards Delhi and towards different part of India?
सबसे पहले तो मैं गंगा जी, आलिया जी और नालंदा की पूरी टीम को बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहती हूँ और बधाई भी देना चाहती हूँ इतना बढ़िया कार्यक्रम करने के लिए। क्योंकि जब हम कल्चर की यहाँ पर बात कर रहे हैं, अपनी बात कहने से पहले मैं कह रही हूँ कि कल्चर की बात कर रहे हैं, तो ये एक तरह से मैं देख रही हूँ कि इसमें समग्रता है। यहाँ सिर्फ नाच गाना या कोई फिल्म दिखा देना या कोई क्लिप सुना देना नहीं है, बल्कि हम विचार के स्तर पर कल्चर पर बात कर रहे हैं, जो कि सबसे ज़रूरी और सबसे महत्वपूर्ण काम है। वास्तव में काम यही है। सबसे पहले तो इसके लिए बधाई। अब मैं अपनी बात शुरू करूं तो मैं क्या कहूं, जब प्रोफेसर अनिल सुकलाल जी ने बताया कि सैंक्शंस लगा देने के बाद ये लोग कट गए और कैसे इनके साथ वहाँ व्यवहार हुआ, या हम जानते हैं गिरमिटियों के बारे में हम लोगों ने बहुत कुछ पढ़ा है, बहुत कुछ जाना है, बहुत कुछ सुना है। इसके सामने मेरी यात्रा बिहार से निकल कर के या कहीं से निकल कर के कहीं भी जाने की कोई मतलब उसका कोई अर्थ मुझे समझ में नहीं आता, इस समय नहीं आ रहा। वैसे कल शाम तक मैं ये सोच रही थी कि एक तरह से तो अप्रवासी मैं भी हूँ। बिहार से निकली आसाम गई, आसाम से निकली भुवनेश्वर गई, भुवनेश्वर से निकली फिर कहीं और हरियाणा में कहीं गई,
और आज भी आप राजस्थान जाने वाले थे, रुक गए।
हाँ, आज भी मैं राजस्थान, वो तो खैर आते जाते वाला मामला था, लेकिन बहुत समय के लिए जहाँ जहाँ रही मैं उसकी बात कर रही हूँ। या ऑस्ट्रेलिया गई और वहाँ मैंने पढ़ाई की। तो ये जो मेरा जो जड़ों से कटना है वो उसी तरह से है जैसे 2 दिन आप पानी ना दीजिए किसी पौधे को और फिर एक तीसरे दिन पानी दे दीजिए तो थोड़ा सा मुरझाएगा, लेकिन फिर वो अपनी जान पकड़ लेगा। लेकिन आप लोगों का जो यहाँ से निकलना है वो दिल को दहला देने वाला निकलना है। और मुझे इस समय चूँकि मेरा सूरदास पर काम है तो मुझे मालूम है, 2 पंक्तियाँ पढ़ूँगी। जैसे उड़ी जहाज को पंछी पुनी जहाज पे आवे। आप लोगों का मन सागर में कहीं भी, नदी में कहीं भी हो, लेकिन पंछी चाहता है कि किसी तरह से जहाज पे पहुंच जाए, पुनी जहाज पर आए। और एक उद्धव जब बात करते हैं कृष्ण आखिर में, उसमें एक वो है, मन उमगत तन नाही वास। उस जब मुझे ब्रज की स्मृति आ रही है तो मेरा मन तो उमग रहा है, तन यहीं पर है मथुरा में।
थैंक यू मैम फॉर योर वंडरफुल
ये जो चीज़ है ना, ये मुझे लगता है कि सच में जो यात्रा है वो यहाँ पर है, यहाँ पर नहीं।
Thank you, ma'am. And this is for Professor Ajay Dubey. Usually he chairs and I'm a panelist, but here the table turns. And right now I'm moderator. And sir, what's your journey, sir, from a place in Chhapra? Because I little bit know about your background. You studied at a place called Chhapra, and after that come to the JNU, and a very big name in the diasporic studies, in the African studies, everybody looking towards you. So what's your journey as whether you feel this is a diaspora or not, or it's a migration, or internal migration is not diaspora, but what's your feeling when you are in Delhi?
Thank you, Professor, for the kind words. First of all, I'd like to thank Gangaji and Aliaji for organizing this conference and making things which are not focused by many and not considered very important by many, as we heard in the previous panel. Coming back to my journey, I have traveled to almost all countries
In Africa.
where Indian diaspora is in substantial number in last 40 years, almost all major countries, as part of my research and interactions. So it's not my journey just to come from Bihar to Delhi, but from India to diaspora. And I think this cultural festival, Nalanda Cultural Festival, is very important today because economic power, military power will come and go. A state acquires for some time. Germany, USA, before Britain, several empires came and went. and they can exist for a century, for half a century. But civilization, culture, values, they cannot be made in such short time. They are created over several centuries. And the only difference that human beings and animals have is about culture. In animal world, you will have the brute power that exists. But among human beings, it's just not the brute power of economy and military, but also the culture that makes a difference. And that is where emphasizing only military power and economic power is very myopic. You can create economic and military power in short time, but cultural take several centuries, hundreds of years. So the diasporic connect and experience that I have, that in present globalized world, whenever you go to any country, it's much easier to connect with people having your culture, your language, your values, and that is an immediate hit. You can see Ambassador High Commissioner Anil Suklal, a big hit in India because he could connect with Indian culture, Indian values, Indian languages.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And just a minute. And also, also similarly, you could see Suriname ambassador when she was here. She was a big hit in the sense she could connect. And today, when we discuss that what is my experience, it is equally important to understand their experience in India, and that will give you insight at why the culture, civilization that we are discussing today is important for them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And this panel is also very important because India-Africa Forum Summit on the verge, 28 to 31st May, we are going to celebrate after 11-year India-Africa Forum Summit, and that was the track one. But here we're talking about the culture, tradition. So, High Commissioner, Professor Suklal, my question is to you, it's that how the literature connects, because you're a Hindu study student, you are study a lot, like economics, but here I persist you to, we are having a literature festival. So how the literature, how the books connect again between the diaspora and between their host and the home country. The importance of literature to connect home and the host country for every panelist.
Well, I think literature underpins the civilizational structure. If you look at when the indentured community traveled to South Africa, they took with them a copy of the Ramayana because they came from that Bhojpuri belt where Lord Rama was worshipped quite widely. And they took the oral traditions with them. So that is what provided them a basis in terms of preserving identity and became the touchstone for identity. So I think it's appropriate that you have this Delhi Nalanda Literature Festival because literature is the enduring. How do we pass on history, as Prof has rightfully referred to? The power of a civilization is embedded in the impact that civilization has had throughout history for thousands of years. And India is a civilizational state that has nourished not only Indian civilization and its immediate environment, but global civilization, and continues up to this day to play such a seminal role. And when this new world order is being recrafted, which is happening at the moment, it is civilizational states such as India that's going to be at the forefront in shaping this, not just the raw power that rightfully Ajayji referred to. And I want to say that having these types of literature festival is what underpins and gives sustenance to the sustainability and continuity of culture, identity, and civilization.
Thank you, sir. And Dr. Sarita, ma'am, you are a true diaspora person. Calcutta, after this BHU, so you're born to be diasporic. It's so how you connect, because you have written so many things. Bhojpuri, how you connect? Yes, I know. You're all the books, and the one interesting book is a Geet Gavari, and where the marriages songs are been written here. So how the books, how the literature, because on the literature forefront, how the connect between the two countries, because from last 30 years, because my academic journey as a student, as a teacher, so same thing coming, the literature, whether literature really works or not.
Without literature, man is nothing. You can have, bread and butter is not everything in the world, there's an English saying. Or besides that, you need your ethos, civilizational ethos. Today, maybe the Girmitia's children, grandchildren, in the professional world, our forefathers went as Girmitia, as Professor, His Excellency has said, that they took their Ramayana with them, maybe not the books itself, but some books, but context. They knew the Ramayana. I have met here people about 30, 40 years ago in Chhapra, in Balia, who know the Ramayana by heart, context. और वही लिटरेचर है, oral literature. It is a very rich literature, and our women folk have taken their संस्कार गीत. संस्कार गीत जो विवाह आदि में, बच्चे के जन्म में, नामकरण में, और जत्सार गीत है, अनेक हर परवरी to make the rain fall. So many of these, this is oral literature, very, very...
Ma'am, a connecting question. India is living their tradition, because you go to the UP and Bihar villages, you right now you do not find this kind of geet. Now they are moving to the Badshah and other geet. And in Mauritius, you are preserving that. So what are the contradictions? Why this contradiction is going on?
No, listen. Our people went about 200 years ago to Mauritius. 15th September, they left here. 1834, they reached Mauritius 2nd November, which we celebrate annually. And this journey from Hooghly River, from Kolkata to Mauritius was the first post. Mauritius was the first post and the great experiment. And since this practice was suited the British people, the colonizers, to produce capital, money, to produce the wealth of the colonizers, the oligarchy, so this worked. But the people who went there, they didn't only go with their labor, with their force, they went with their culture. अपन धर्म, अपन संस्कृति, अपन सभ्यता को लेकर गए, रीति रिवाज, खान पान, and all the oral traditions, medicinal practices, और जो पूजा पाठ के समान है, सभी चीज़ लेकर गए. शादी विवाह, मैंने एक बड़ा पुस्तक लिखा है, कन्यादान, on the rites and rituals that are practiced in Mauritius and which the people took from them. So this Geet Gawai, Sanskar Geet, it is Sanskar Geet, नाच गाना नहीं है. It is very powerful things that come from my research, the Rig Veda, and from the Rig Veda it has gone to the local folk traditions, जो वो लोग अपने बच्चे के जन्म पर या शादी विवाह के अनेक वो मटकोर आदि, हल्दी लगाओ, ये सब गीत है. तो this is a very rich culture, literature, and this literature, I must tell you that the government of Mauritius has sent it to the UNESCO, on which I worked as a consultant with the University of Mauritius for 4 years to prepare the nomination dossier, and it had become the intangible cultural heritage, not of India, of Mauritius,
thank you,
but of the, you must listen to me, Manish ji, of the humanity,
my
of
question
the whole
are different.
world.
My question was different, ma'am.
No, the question is interpreted in the way we are seeing it.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, because you have written extensively, 13 books, I think so, so many. So what's your idea how the culture connects? People are dividing with the identity, UP, Bihar, Odisha, Gujarat. So what's the literature definitely connects to the country or states? What's your feeling? It's a personal feeling.
एक बात में इनकी बात जो आपने इनसे सवाल पूछा था, मैं उसको फिर से उस पर 1 मिनट ज़रूर बात करूँगी, थोड़ा समय दीजिएगा। कि जब आप अपनी जगह से दूर होते हैं तो आप उसकी शुद्धता को ज़्यादा बचाए रखते हैं। ये जो गीत गवई है, ये जो चीज़ें लिखी गई हैं,
मैं यही चाहता था, यही वर्ड मैं चाहता था।
ज़्यादा वो है क्योंकि आप दूर हैं, आप उस चीज़ को बचाए रखेंगे। मैं फिर से धन्यवाद करूंगी आप लोगों को कि आपने मुझे यहाँ बुलाया, क्योंकि तब मैंने बहुत सारे रामायण के, सुंदरकांड के बहुत सारे मॉरिशस में हुए पाठ भी सुने, उनकी धुन सुनी, उनकी धुन को अपने धुन से मिलाया। सारा टेक्स्ट जो रामचरितमानस का था, जो जिसको रामायण कहा जा रहा है, उसको मैंने देखा और कबीर पर भी वो सब किया। तो वो जो चीज़ है, वो जो नॉस्टैल्जिया है, वो नॉस्टैल्जिया इनका नॉस्टैल्जिया बहुत अलग है उस नॉस्टैल्जिया से जो कि आप कह रहे हैं। हम लोगों के सामने ये सुविधा है कि हम चले जाएंगे जड़ों तक। हमारे सामने यहाँ रहते ही ये सुविधा है, भले ही हम इस बात को न जानते हों कि हम वहाँ पर नहीं जा पाएंगे, जहाँ से हम उखड़ रहे हैं वहाँ हम नहीं जा पाएंगे, हम अपने कल्चर को नष्ट कर देंगे। हम इस डर को नहीं जानते।
थैंक यू माय प्रोफेसर जी, लुकिंग टू मी नाउ हिज टर्न।
मैं अपनी बात तो कह दूं। आपने मेरे लिए क्या सवाल चुना था, जरा उसको फिर से कह।
सवाल वही है मैम कि क्या कल्चर जो है, हम कल्चर और लिटरेचर की बात करते हैं, सो वो क्या कनेक्ट अभी भी कर पा रहा है?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल कर पा रहा है। मैंने हाल ही में अभिमन्यु अनंत की एक कहानी पढ़ी, अपना जहान, और उसमें जो उनकी पत्नी है वो क्रियोल नहीं सीख पाती प्रॉपरली, वो उसमें अपनी भोजपुरी मिला ही देती हैं बार बार। मैं जब अपने संबंधियों को देखती हूँ जो बम्बई में रह रहे हैं, हैदराबाद में रह रहे हैं, कुछ भी रह रहे हैं, वो उस भाषा को उस तरह से नहीं सीख पाते, और मुझे उसमें इतनी समानता लगी, उसमें इतनी सारी चीज़ें ऐसी लगी, और मुझे लगा कि साहित्य में वो ताकत है और वो मूल्य हैं जो वो कहीं का भी हो
कनेक्ट करने का मूल्य।
Connect
थैंक यू मैम। नाउ आई एम लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू प्रोफेसर अजय दुबे सर. Sir knows Robin Cohen, sir knows William Safran, but how literature useful to them, because they never use the primary source in their any of those descriptions, sir. So how you feel? I know this is a little bit different question, but how you feel now the another writing we can do where we use and we are doing primary sources again. So what's your view about the textbook that Robin Cohen and William Safran connect the two cultures? If you want, you reframe this question, sir, according to you.
No. I think the textbook and the writers writes with certain perspective, certain interest. Whether whether Cohen or whether any other writer who have written on this, if you see the projects that had come to them, the 600 million project, project that came to Robin Cohen for, he was from South Africa, and the kind of things that he wrote, it all talks about how everything is globalized and how globalization is driven by diaspora. The purpose of connecting, expanding was different. What we are discussing here, that when there is a globalization now, the world is becoming much more accessible for the people, the border is becoming diluted, the culture is taking a prime stage because of technology, whether internet or television. How the civilizations and cultures connect, how they enrich not just their own country but the globe as such, how they share that richness. I think the literature is not something which is separate. It represents a culture. There is no literature without representing the culture. And therefore, when you have literature spread across the world, it represents the culture. You see the writings of all Indian authors in Britain, in USA, whoever writes, the diasporic writers, they get all those prizes because they represent a very unique cultures and bring the strength of that and the ability to connect with the world and connect with other civilizations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Again, I'm coming to Professor Anil Suklal. Sir, for young people born outside India, So how they look to India, what their view about the Indianness. So this is my question is for every panelist, how they look to Indianness, because you you vigorously roam around so many countries and you met Indians, I think so 100%. So how you think that Indianness into the young generation who is away from India?
Well, I think there's multi-dimensional perspective to this. Let me speak just from the South African perspective.
Definitely, sir.
I think the young generation South Africans, very little is known about India and very little identification with India. And I think partly the challenge is that we have been isolated from India. We've been, as I said, normalized relations about 30 years ago. And as much as Indian South Africans know little about India, I think Indians themselves know very little about, I would say, South Africa and the Indian diaspora in Africa. So I think it's an issue that needs attention on both sides. We take it for granted that we know each other. Yes, of course, it's in the DNA of Indian South Africans that their roots are in India. And I think as Indians have become more affluent, and what we are seeing is there is a thirst to find identity, to go back to the roots. But there is not much assistance they get in this. You've introduced an OCI system that's so laborious to prove your Indianness that many just get discouraged. Something I have raised with the Indian government. It's only recently, as December, that South African were granted 7th generation recognition.
Yes.
We were disadvantaged under apartheid, and even on your OCI system, we were the only country until December we had 4th generation recognition. And I call that OCI apartheid. Why do you treat the diaspora differently, the Girmitya diaspora? We all come from the same roots. We require the same recognition from the Indian government. And I think part of the challenge, and this I have raised with my MEA colleagues, when you send envoys to Girmitya countries, let them know something about the Girmitya history. They come there and have no knowledge about Girmitya history. Your textbooks is silent on Girmitya history, as if it didn't happen in India's history. And it is because of writers and researchers like Prof. Dubey and others that this is coming to the fore. It is, as I keep emphasizing, the Girmitya history is your history and my history,
Definitely,
and our
sir.
history. And these has to be addressed. Thank you.
Definitely, sir. And definitely here the officials from ICCR, MEE, and itself the culture ministers, they are taking your ideas very profoundly, and they can connect academia. Hopefully, yes, sir. Ma'am, the same question with you, the young generation in Mauritius, because in Mauritius the complexions are very different. UP, Bihar, Tamil, there are so many diasporas in Mauritius. So how the young blood, they connect to the India, or how you feel the Indianness into them? It's your feeling, because you connect to the young lots in your country and this country also.
I must tell you, first of all, in a history of about 200 years, our people went there in 1834, and we must say that the progress has been really remarkable. It's a success story. From Girmitya to government. Our young people today, of this generation, they are prime ministers, they are ministers, they are everywhere in every field, and they master several languages, including their own mother language, the Bhojpuri language. And all these languages are taught to the young people: Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, Gujarati, and Urdu. So the same way they know, we have, government has established speaking unions by an act of parliament, in which everything is done to teach the language, the culture, the heritage, and the ethos that we took with us. Like you have the Bhojpuri speaking union, Creole speaking union, and the younger generation, this has been passed on from generation to generation. Just like this Lok Geet, the UNESCO says you must transmit to the younger generation. And to do that, what is the vehicle of the Sanskar Geet, Geet Gawai? It is Bhojpuri. Therefore, it stipulates that the government, the state party, must teach the language Bhojpuri as well as Hindi is being taught in the schools so that the younger generation can pass on this intangible cultural heritage, Geet Gawai, which belongs to humanity. The other thing is that we conduct many competitions to teach Ramayana chanting competition, and we have a holy competition, Chautal Geet and so on, and Geet Gawai as well. And the young people are coming to India. They are given all facilities, especially since the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas 2003. Now we are the extension of by your encouragement and your initiative, we are having 7th generation of Mauritians, of all overseas Indians, Girmitias, can have their OCI card, like this I am showing you, an OCI card. And therefore, they are also having so many annually Know India programs in India, and then there are exchange programs in the youth of Mauritius and India, and of course the whole diaspora. We have, I must say that this initiative is very encouraging, and Sri Modi ji, when I was at the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas in Bhubaneswar for my Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award, which I received in January 2025, there he mentioned, the Prime Minister Modi ji, that there must be a database to connect for the young people so that they can know either on IT, digital platform, or through AI. They must connect with their villages, and there must be documentaries, films, annual Girmitia conferences should be held. And I must tell you that just now, I am here on 9th. On the 13th to 15th, there's an international indenture labor route seminar being held in Mauritius in a hybrid mode. You can also join in, where we are studying this whole process which started with Mauritius, the journey, and has gone to South Africa, to the Caribbean countries, to Fiji, and to the French countries also, so that this journey back to India, how it can be held, how we can put this same civilizational continuity in cultural continuity in the younger generation.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. We are running out of time, so the next panelist...
Making it so much strong bond, a shared heritage, a shared cultural heritage, and it is not only a relationship of blood, of history, but it is a shared heritage of our commonalities.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ma'am, what's your idea, because you roam around so many countries, so what's your about बाहर के जो अभी जो हैं डायस्पोरा लोग, वो इंडिया के बारे में कैसे कनेक्ट हो रहे हैं?
2-3 स्तर हैं. 2001 में जब मैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया में थी, तो मॉरिशस की ही एक डॉक्टर थी जो मेरे साथ मैनेजमेंट पढ़ रही थी, और उनसे मेरी जब बात हुई तो उन्होंने बताया कि हम रोज़ शाम को तुलसी जी पर दिया जलाते हैं, तुलसी जी को दिया दिखाते हैं, और कुछ रामायण का पाठ करते हैं या कोई प्रार्थना करते हैं. ये बात मुझे कभी नहीं भूलेगी कि इस तरह से एक कम्युनिटी अपने सारे संस्कारों को रखे हुए है. अभी जब ये बात कर रही थी तो मुझे लगा कि हमें लौटना होगा इस तरफ, इनसे हमें हेल्प मिलेगी अपने ओरिजिनल रूट्स को पाने में, क्योंकि कई जैसे अपरूटेड हो जाते हैं हम लोग. दूसरी बात यह है कि हम भारत में जब हमारे बच्चे या यंग जनरेशन है, हम मेरे तो नहीं लेकिन हाँ बच्चे, वो उनकी भाषा, बोलचाल की भाषा इंग्लिश हो गई है, वो घर में भी अंग्रेजी ही बोलते हैं. लेकिन जब वो बाहर जाते हैं तब उनसे जब बात करो, कई बच्चों से मेरी बात होती है, कई तरह के बच्चों से बात होती है, बहुत सारे वर्गों और कास्ट के बच्चों से, और तब वो इंसिस्ट करते हैं कि आंटी हमारे साथ हिंदी में बात कीजिए, आंटी हमारे साथ भोजपुरी में बात कीजिए, या किसी थोड़ी बहुत पंजाबी में बोल लेते हो तो थोड़े पंजाबी में बात कर लीजिए. तो ये जो चीज़ है मैं उनमें देख रही हूँ, वो बहुत पर्टिकुलर हैं कि वो अपने त्यौहार भी मनाएं, और तिलक लगा करके, हम मेरा बेटा खुद बाहर रहता है, तिलक लगा करके वो राखी के दिन और भाई दूज के दिन वो बाकायदा फ़ोटो भेजता है कि देखो मैंने तिलक लगा लिया है, ऐसा मान लिया गया है कि बहन ने लगा दिया है।
Thank you, ma'am.
तो वो ज़्यादा
Thank you.
जुड़े
Now
हुए
I move towards the same question with Professor Ajay Dubey, sir. So how you see the Indianness outside India? Because whether it's Suriname, Guyana, Trinidad, Tobago, or South Africa and Mauritius.
I think the Indianness across the world vary very differently. They all love India, they all love Indian culture, but they all are located into very different contexts and situations. Countries like Mauritius, where the Indians are around 70%, they flaunt their Indian cultures. There are many places where they love it, they practice it, but they need to adjust with the larger dominant cultures. So they all respect Indian culture, they value it.
So one
But
my
their
added
exhibition-
question, sir. Do you see any contradictions? Suppose that in Mauritius or in South Africa, the Indian people, that means the Bharatvanshi, they are celebrating Holi, Diwali and all these things. Whether the government is, how the government reaction? Because it's a host and the home country concept. As an academician, how you look all this contradiction in the home country?
So the celebrations of different festivals is done in all diaspora countries. The government does not react negatively, but the nature of that festival also changes. The exclusiveness changes, or inclusiveness changes, and it remains a community festival. So there is no government ban on that matter.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Until unless you are in the Gulf,
Yes.
where you have to practice certain things as per the law.
Okay, I have so many questions because a very fascinating panel we had right now. But now you are free to say anything that I'm not going to ask anything to you. So 1 minute deliberation for every panelist and the 5 minutes for the question answer. Sir, I start with you. Anything you want to say?
No, I question the value of these kind of gatherings. I've been to very many. Where does it feed into? Prime Minister Modi ji at the Pravasi function in Odisha last year made four very distinct suggestions. And I said at previous meetings of this nature that it's about us as much as it is about you.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
whatever is happening to take those four forward, if it is all going to be taken forward, and I think if it's coming from the Prime Minister, it'll be a travesty if those are not taken forward, and that we go to Pravasi next January again, and nothing has happened on this. So if we are serious in building bridges between the Girmitiya diaspora and India, it's important that what the Prime Minister said materializes.
Thank you, sir. And it's your thought from last so many months. We had interacted so many times. The same thought coming out from you. Thank you very much, sir. Madam, your last thought on this gathering. What you want to say more?
मनीष जी, मैडम ने कहा कि उन्होंने मॉरिशस में आप रामायण के चौपाई आदि सुने। हम एगो बानी सुनावत हैं जो जब बचपन में हम सुनले रही, और वो बानी रामायण झाल ढोलक पर लोग गाते हैं, और वो झाल ढोलक पर जो रामायण गाते हैं उससे पहले वो बानी सुनाते हैं। तुलसी मगन भैल हरि गुण गाय के, हो तुलसी मगन भैल हरि गुण गाय के, हरि गुण गाय के, हो रामा गुण गाय के, हरि गुण गाय के, हो रामा गुण गाय के, तुलसी मगन भैल हरि गुण गाय के। ये बहुत इस तरह का है उसमें। और
Thank you,
एक शादी के एक गीत है। पहले हरदिया मोरे बीप्र चढ़ावेलन, बीप्र चढ़ावेलन, अवरु सजन सब लोग, फिर से चढ़ैया हरदी अम्मा चढ़ावेलन, अम्मा चढ़ावेलन, हृदय से दिहनय शीश। ये हरदी का गीत है।
Ma'am, what you want to say more? 1 minute.
तरफ से एक कविता मैंने लिखी थी और मैं आज वो सुना रही हूँ आप लोगों को। मेरी एक कविता है, मेरे पूर्वजों। मैं एक बार, बस एक बार छूना चाहती हूँ तुम्हारी उंगलियों को अपनी उंगलियों से। तुम्हारे गाल, होंठ और बालों को महसूसना चाहती हूँ। देखना चाहती हूँ तुम्हारी आँखों में, जिसमें मेरा अक्स 100 पर्दे पार, मेरा अक्स 100 पर्दे पार बीज सा रुपा है। मेरे पूर्वजों, मेरे पूर्वजों, मैं उस धरती पर एक कदम रखना चाहती हूँ जहाँ पड़े थे तुम्हारे पहले कदम। उस धार की बूंद भर जल को पीना चाहती हूँ जहाँ बुझी थी तुम्हारी प्यास।
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
लेने दीजिए, आप बायस्ड हैं।
नहीं,
फिलहाल
मैं
मैं
biased
महसूस
नहीं
करती हूँ। बीच में रोक देते हैं आप। एक बार उस पवन को देह में महसूसना चाहती हूँ जिसमें सूखा था तुम्हारा पसीना। क्या तुम वे शब्द मुझे सौंपोगे? क्या तुम वे शब्द मुझे सौंपोगे मेरे पूर्वजों, जिनसे मैं पहुंच सकूं तुम तक एक बार, बस एक बार। ये
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And sir, for you, last academic question: what gap still remain in Indian diaspora policy? Because you're a professor, so I changed my question. So what's time you're giving? 1 minute, sir. No. So the diaspora policy, sir. Mike, sir.
No, it cannot be answered in 1 minute. High Commissioner Anil Suklalji has already told that Prime Minister has already announced several steps on this, that Indian diaspora policy is not about green dollar. It is also about civilizational collect. We are civilizational state. We have greater India outside. And if we have to reach out to them, if India has to ever rise, it cannot be just economic power. It has to be civilizational power. And it's for the Gangaji and Aliaji to take this dialogue of civilization literature, not confined to India itself, but to the greater India, to the Brihad Bharat, which also stays outside India. And that's what Ambassador Anil Suklal was pointing out.
Thank you, sir. And really, I'm privileged to having this gathering. Very senior, profound, and almost I'm a mini India-Africa summit. It's going on. So only 2 questions I'll take, and after that I'll stop. These 2 questions. Without question, we cannot move, sir. Acha, 1 question. Okay. Kaniska. Yes. And again you, and after that, yes. Kaniska, go ahead.
Myself Kanishka, PhD scholar at University of Delhi, and my question is to Excellency Professor Anil Suklal. As you mentioned, sir, that about the westernization of people, the conversions, the identity crisis, and now we are at a stage discussing Nalanda, and people are feeling proud about their rich culture, heritage, and oral traditions and literature. So, sir, do you think it is the result of the process of decolonizing of mind and the culture?
Next one. Can you pass to him? Yeah. Quick.
Namaste, sir. My name is Piyush, and I am from Nalanda University, currently working as a consultant at Gandhi Research Foundation. So, my question is to Professor Ajay Dubey, sir. Sir, I am also from Patna. So, sir, I want your views on 2 things. I want to ask 2 very short questions. I will not keep it very long.
One question.
Sir, those are interrelated and very short. So, sir, as we have seen the rise of military-industrial complex since the World War, and given the majority of our bureaucrats are educated within the war-centered paradigms, so do you believe that it would be beneficial to include a compulsory course on civilizational education for our future policymakers, as this would enable us and them also to reimagine and redefine diplomacy,
Sir, are getting your
strategy,
question.
and
Sir, are getting
global
your question.
responsibility.
Please,
with a
sir,
new
are getting
sir,
your
one more
question.
question. One more short, very short. It's very short, sir. And I want your view on this, that whether in the current policy framework, whether we should include civilizational indicators of, like new civilizational indicators of stability and strength, and whether we should come up with institutional pathways away from the permanent war economies, and whether we should rethink national security doctrines also in the present times.
First.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I know we are short of time, so in half a minute. Your own Prime Minister has rightfully recently spoken of decolonizing the mind. We are all still, and I say this as an African in Africa as well, that's a major challenge for us to recognize that we come from civilizational states and we have nourished global society for millions, thousands of years. So it's something you as the younger generation of Indian has to change in your society as much as we have to change that in Africa. When we can decolonize our minds and be proud of our own identity, first at the individual level, community level, national level, and then global level, then we would have arrived.
I think I'll forgo my answer because I've seen the organizers raising their hands several times, and I'll discuss with you after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.